In this lesson, we will use bash scripting to assess organizational security. This lesson is part of a video series that prepares you for the hands-on portion of the CompTIA Security Plus exam and is designed to give you hands-on experience with the exam. So what is bash scripting? Bash scripting is a command line scripting language used in Linux and Unix-based systems to automate tasks and execute sequences of commands. It is used by system administrators, developers, and users who need to automate workflows and tasks. It is used when there is a need to automate repetitive tasks, manage system processes, or run complex operations without manual intervention. Bash scripting is commonly used in terminal windows or shell environments in Linux and Unix-based operating systems. It is used to save time, reduce human error, and efficiently manage system operations by automating repetitive or complex tasks. We write commands in a .sh file, make it executable, and run it in the terminal with the chmod plus X making it executable. The rest of the how is what this video is all about, so let's get into it. To get started, grab the companion guide from the link in the show notes below. Also, if you like this content, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any new videos. So we have our companion guide on the left, we have our Linux device endpoint on the right, and we are ready to get started. The first thing is we're going to launch a terminal session, so I'm just going to right click and open in terminal. Control-Alt-T would work as well. We maximize this, and also I like to increase it by 2 just so we have a little bit more real estate. So this part is checked off, and what we're going to do is actually do some basic scripts, right, and understand a scripting file. So I'm going to actually on this side, as always, I'm going to touch and create a file called my first name.sh, and all scripting files end in the .sh extension. So I have my file, and now I just want to nano that file so we can actually edit. I'm using the nano editor. So we have our file. So the first thing we're going to do is let the system know that this is a bash script. There are other shells, so we're going to just use this one here for bashing. So it's exclamation point, we're going to do bin bash. And the hashtag symbol means that this is not executable. In other words, the scripting program is going to run over anything that has the hash sign in front of it. In other words, it is commented out or remarked out. It's not relevant. It's just to let us know what's happening. So I'm going to put in hello world, real simple file. I'm going to do Control S, and you see here it wrote 2 lines. You see the 2 lines, and Control X to get out of it. And I have my file. So let's go ahead and ls that file. So I want to ls the file, see if it exists. It does. I'm going to do -L so we can see the long format, so we can see the permissions. And you see here it doesn't have the execute permission. So I can't execute this file unless I change the permission. So we're going to do change mode, chmod. We're going to do the +X, and we're going to apply it to that file. So we should see differences now. So now we have the executable, and if I want to run the file, I can just do a .x. So I'm going to do ./, meaning this folder here, we're going to execute it in this folder, and here you go. I have my first hello world file. So I'm going to do a couple of quick things. I want this when it runs to be clear and on the top of the screen. So I'm going to nano back into the file again. So let's go right into the file. We'll do this periodically, so I'm going to bring it up there. And before it echoes or screen prints hello world, I want it to clear first. So I'm going to do Control S to save. This time I wrote 3 lines to the file, and I'm going to Control X to get out of it. And then I'm going to run the file, and you see that it cleared first and brought it to the top, which is okay, perfect, what I liked here. So I'm going to the companion guide, do some housekeeping to make sure everything looks right. And we're going to combine some command lines. So I'm back here on the Linux side. I'm going to nano the file, clear. And I'm going to add a few things. Now I can just put this in completely, but I want to build this out a little bit so you can see what's actually happening. So we're going to say hello world, and we're going to say today is and I want to add the date. So we know we can combine lines with the ampersand, ampersand, and I'm going to do date, Control S, Control X, and I'm going to run that file. And you see that it gives me the date. However, it's on 2 lines. I want to combine it and put it on the same line. So we're going to basically says no new line in front of it. So let's go back into Nano, edit this, and in front of the echo display, we're going to say no new line. So I do Control S to save the file, Control X, and when we run the file, we see that it's all on 1 line. So maybe we want output and we can format it in a way that looks good. And also I put a space here so that way it's clean when it runs through. And we can just format this any way that we like. All right, so great. So back to the file again. So let's go into the file. So we're going to nano the file, and a couple of things here. Back to the hashtag. The hashtag option allows us to comment this file out. In other words, it's not going to run. So if I do Control Save, Control X, and I run the file, all it did was clear the screen. It did not run the file. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. So let's go back in Nano. We're going to build this out. And now we're going to define variables and user input. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see here. Okay, perfect, even better. Okay, so this one here, we're going to rem out or comment out or hashtag out this line. It's not going to work. And we're going to create a variable. So in the next line here, I'm going to type name. So the variable is going to be called name, and it's going to be equal to my first name. So I'm going to say name equal, open quote, put in the variable, close quote, hit enter, and then we're going to say echo or print to screen the hello, and this time we're going to call that variable, and the way we call that variable is with the $ and the variable name, close the quote, right? So this looks pretty simple enough. Let's see if that works. So we're going to, this time I'm going to X out of this differently. I'm going to Control X first, and this time it asks me on the bottom, do I want to save or modify the buffer? The answer is yes. And it's going to put it into the .sh file, and we're going to run that file, and it just puts out the file. In other words, the variable. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to cat my file so you can see the bash script. So the first thing it does is clear. We have commented or remarked out this line so it will not run. We created a variable called name, and we set it equal to my first name, France. And then we echoed hello, whatever is in this variable. Pretty straightforward. We saw the output of that. This is how we can define variables and user input. So we're good here. Let's go ahead and make it interactive. We want to accept user input at this point. Okay, so I'm going to clear out the screen here, just the terminal screen. We're going to go back into the firstname.sh file. Yours might be different. And I'm going to add a few more things. So actually we want to nano into this one here. So let's nano into it. And we're going to continue and make this interactive. So I can comment all of this out. I don't need this, and we're going to comment this out. The reason why we comment, we can always come back to it later and uncomment the line, and it's good to have this in terms of good practice so that way we know where we are, what was in there. And we're going to put in this command. So we're going to read the prompt. So I'm going to put this line in. Great. So it's going to read and prompt the user. It says, please enter your name. And whatever the user puts into the prompt is going to be set to a variable called username, right? So I hit enter. And then I'm going to say, let's print some interactive capabilities in here. So we're going to echo hello, whatever was put into the prompt. Welcome to Cyberlabs 007. Okay, well, let's see if that works. I'm going to Control S to save. We wrote 7 lines. And Control X to get out of it. So do I want to save the buffer? The answer is yes, in .sh. So that looks good. I'm going to clear the screen, and we're going to run the file. It says, please enter your name. And it says, hello, France. Welcome to Cyberlabs 007. Good. Perfect. So this looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and create a loop. And the loop is going to be kind of self-explanatory, but before we get there, let's go ahead and do some housekeeping. So I'm going to write a loop. And once again, let's get back into our file. So we're going to nano our file. We like it here. The first thing does, it's clear, which is good, to bring things on top. And I'm going to write a loop. So to make things easier, rather than spend a lot of time typing, I'm going to copy all of this, bring it over from clipboard into the script. And we don't have to have all this indentation, but for this purpose, I'm going to have one. So essentially what this script is saying is for I, we're setting the letter I in 1 to 5 steps, and we're going to do the steps. And every time it goes through the step, it's going to write echo, this is loop number, whatever the first step is, and it's going to cycle this until it exhausts this parentheses and then hits done. So let's see this in action. So basically this is going to loop 5 times. So let's see if this is true. I'm going to save. I'm going to Control X. Oops, we don't want to do that. I'm going to Control X. It says, do I want to save modified buffer? The answer is yes. I want to save it to this script, the first name.sh, and we want to run the file. So please enter your name. I'm going to put in my name, and it says, hello, welcome to Cyberlabs, and it's going to loop 5 times. This is loop number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So basically this is a regular, simple looping script inside our bash script. Let's do this again. And now, just real simply, if I wanted to change the number of times that it does this, let's say we want it to be 15. I'm going to Control X, yes, yes, run the file, and we're going to enter the name. And now I went to 15. So this is how we can create some loops. Okay, perfect. So we have the loops done. Let's go to NSLOOKUP, and I'll put that into the show notes below. We did NSLOOKUP in a previous class, but let's go ahead and just take a look at NSLOOKUP. So we don't want to do that. We want to come over here. So I'm going to clear my screen, and I'm just going to do an NSLOOKUP right at the command line. So with NSLOOKUP, we're going to do a name server lookup. The type is a regular text record, and we're looking at example.com. So I hit enter, and it's going to give me some feedback. So it says it can't find one of the options here. So let's see if we can, what's going on here. So we can't ping. I want to see if we have, let's do some real-time troubleshooting here, bringing it all together. It looks like I don't have an IP address assigned. This is a DHCP assigned IP address, and we don't have it. So let's do something real simple here. And let me just go ahead and bring this up so you can see the map, what's going on. So here's a map of our environment. I'm sitting here. I do not have a DHCP assigned IP address. I want to pull a fresh DHCP. So let's go ahead and we're going to sudo DH client and just pull a fresh one. It wants a new, it wants my password because I sudoed. And it says I have a new IP address. Let's do an IP adder. Let's see what happens. And yes, I have an IP address, albeit different from this design. I have a 176.16.1.102. Let's see if we can now ping. And yes, we can now get out of this device, endpoint, go through the switch, router, go out to the internet, and we can ping 1.1.1.1. So I'm going to close out of this. Network troubleshooting is done, and this is the beauty of going through this here, is that we bring it all together. So I'm going to go back to my NSLOOKUP command and see what that looks like. And yes, so we have our NSLOOKUP. This is the local name server that's going to do the DNS lookup for us, port 127.0.053. So if you remember, 53 is our DNS port. So this is looking right. And without reviewing completely what NSLOOKUPs, I'm just getting a text record, and this is the sender policy framework. So it's version 1, and it says essentially -all. The only people who can send messages from this server or text server for the sender policy framework is example.com. No one else can, and it has a unique identifier here. So let's just say we wanted to go through this process and we wanted to do some more name server lookups. I can up arrow and I can change this to the name server. And I see the name servers is, these are the ones that are going to find more information. So I have 2 of them here. I can up arrow if I'm looking for the mail exchange record, an MX record, and it says it doesn't have one. Okay, great. Now I want to automate all of this. So we're going to make this real easy for ourselves. I'm going to do some housekeeping and putting it all together. So let's take this here, this script. I'm going to copy it into clipboard, and let's just make a new script file. So I'm going to clear the screen here, and we're going to nano, and we're going to call it, let's say, NSLOOKUP. So this is going to be an NSLOOKUP script for us. We're going to call it .sh. It's going to create the file. I'm going to paste everything that you see here, or if you want to, you can type it. And let's examine this for a little bit. First, we're going to clear the screen. We're going to echo, enter a domain to query and perform NSLOOKUPs. It's going to read the domain. These are the types we're looking for: text, name server, MX. It's going to output this into a results.txt file. And then it's going to run through a loop, the same loop that we ran before. So for type 1, it's going to run through these loops: text, NS, lookup, MX, and here are the types. And then when it's all done, it's going to say your query is complete, and it's going to output the results because it's going to cat this output file that it picked up from results. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. We're going to control X. We're going to save the modified buffer, NSLOOKUP. And I'm going to make sure that the permissions look right. So let's go ahead. We see that it is not executable. So we're going to change mod +X NSLOOKUP. And let's go ahead and take a look at that again. And now we see we have the executable, which means that we can run the file. So I'm going to ./NSLOOKUP. And this is just showing the path. It's this folder because I did everything on the desktop. It says enter a domain to query. Let's put example.com in here. And just like that, it gave us the information we're looking for in a more automated fashion, which is the whole purpose of a script. It gave me the server, it gave me the text record, I can see the name server record, and there's no mail exchange record. And it did this much more efficiently. Okay, perfect. Now, you may or may not know how to. Let's go ahead and cat this file. So I'm going to cat the NSLOOKUP file. Maybe you know how to write this, or maybe you don't. One of the things we can do is actually go to GenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini AI, or any of your Gen AI tools and actually ask it to write a script for us. So I'm going to clear this. And let's go to ChatGPT, but before we go there, we're going to use this prompt. Write a Linux bash script that will prompt me for a domain to ping and traceroute. So I'm going to copy this into clipboard. Let's go to ChatGPT. We're going to paste this into the prompt, and let's see what ChatGPT does for us. Okay, so that literally only took a few seconds. It created a script for us that we can copy. We're going to copy that into clipboard. It gives us some instructions, but let's go back to our one companion guide here. We're going to copy the code and save it to a file called nettest. So first and foremost, I'm going to, on the Linux side, write a file called nettest, nettest.sh. It's an empty file, and I'm going to copy and paste, well, we already copied it, I'm going to paste the code from ChatGPT. If we quickly look at it, it looks very similar to what we were doing before. It's going to echo, it's going to read a domain, it's going to run a few commands based on whatever we enter here, and same thing with traceroute. So we're going to control save. I wrote 13 lines. This is great. I'm going to control X. Do I want to save what was in buffer? Yes, because I made another change in there. And now we also have to change mode. We're going to have to make this executable. I'm going to do +X. And this file is ready to run. And now let's go ahead and // and it says enter a domain to ping and traceroute. Let's go to Google. Let's see what happens to Google. So I'm going to put google.com. that took about 20 seconds or so, but you see how efficient that is, where we're able to, just by running a script, we can easily run a series of commands. And this one was pretty simple. It's going to ping google.com. Then after that, it's going to do a trace route to google.com. There were videos on both of these commands, but the point is that you can do these manually line by line, or you can combine them. What does the script looks like? It's cat.nettest.sh. This is the script. I didn't write it. I asked Gen AI to write it. And these are the prompts that you could use to write just about any script. As always, you want to check the accuracy of anything that you get from OpenAI or Gemini AI or any of your generative AI tools. But this can be a quick and easy way to learn how to do some scripts. So let's get over here, fix this up for later purposes. I want to clear on the Linux side and also just close out of this. And there were no jobs running, so we're fine. So let's see, where can we get some help? So first and foremost, the help online. So let's go ahead and take a look at the bash manual. It's pretty heavy, but if you want to, you can go ahead and read up a little bit more about it. There's an HTML 1 page per node. So you can go ahead. It explains what is bash, what is the shell. Another option you may want to is the Linux documentation program. So the TLDP, the Linux documentation program, has lots of information. This is where, for example, the loops. If you want to know a little bit more about looping, you go to loop and it shows you real quickly how to write a loop. You can literally copy and paste this into a script and experiment on your own. And then, of course, there's books. If you really want to get deep into the books, you can go into the advanced bash scripting after you have understand the basics. And then last but not least, we always have the manual page right in the Linux terminal. So we can go to man, we do bash, and it's going to talk about the born again shell, which is what bash stands for. And again, this was a very, very high level, back of the envelope, higher themed tutorial. Just wanted to get you started because in future classes, we're going to use scripts to either install platforms and or automate tasks. So the idea was to introduce you to the topic at a very high level. We'll do more of this as we continue with next videos and other courses. So for the time being, we're all set here. I hope you enjoyed this session. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next one.